And that's why we're breaking this down. Liam Coen is the first head coach that Dave Canales is going to get a true crack at for week 1.
They roll coverage.
Liam, I would imagine that one of the first things you looked at on film from last year is how the team really struggled in their first possession coming out. It was a lot of 3-and-outs and just not good. 12 plays, 44 yards. You take 7 minutes and 19 seconds off the clock, but it's marred by a couple of penalties.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that drive?
Yeah, we wanted to take the ball and get the 1-0. We weren't going to keep them in very long anyway, and we just wanted to get those guys those reps. And I thought it was obviously well executed in terms of the majority of it, and then the theme of the day showed up for us on that one drive, which was self-inflicted wounds. So you get the first play of the game, you get a false start, go backwards, overcome, move it forward, get a good screen to ETN, makes people miss, and then we throw the screen to Travis. BT's got a pressed up corner. The guy, the nickel, he blocks him. They call OPI. I didn't see the block in the back on Ezra there. So that puts us in 3rd and 12, and the thought was, hey, let's do a control pass here, try to maybe get it to, if we could have got it to 3rd and 4 or so, we probably would have gone for it, or 4th and 4, excuse me. So every one of the skill players got a touch I was pleased with, wanted to get everybody kind of a touch and involved, was pleased with the 4th down conversion, for those guys. So that was good. It was some good stuff, but yeah, we want to finish with a touchdown.
I think it's very telling. I feel like Liam is going through a bit of the same growing pains that Dave Canales went through. And that's why we're breaking this down. Liam Coen is the first head coach that Dave Canales is going to get a true crack at for week 1. Obviously, preseason's a little bit different. People are going to play you different. They're not going to play their starters all the snaps. And like you heard there from Liam, he's obviously trying to figure out how this whole team is going to work. It seems to be the theme of young head coaches, though, that teams are not as disciplined. Liam obviously was coming from a very stable organization. Last year, he was with Todd Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, somebody who I will also be breaking down on the regular since they are in my division. And now you're going to a situation where you're asked to hold everybody accountable. You're asked to execute the offense, the defense, and everything. So on top of that, I don't really feel like it's the best option, especially when it comes to just a new head coach. This could be a lot of growing pains with Liam. And to be honest with you, I think that could adversely affect a guy like Travis Hunter. I love BTJ, but I also don't know if I love Trevor Lawrence anymore. So whether or not I'm in or out on him is going to affect my opinion of the Jaguars. But hearing that they're struggling early makes my Carolina Panther fandom so happy, because it means that we have that tiny window to possibly make this a blowout of the Jaguars, which could really set up a positive outlook for this Panthers team moving forwards.
You kind of hinted at it, but just in terms of the penalties tonight, how do you address that with the team? I know you talked about it beforehand. You wanted to see more discipline. So
Yeah.
how do you sort of get to that?
Yeah, I mean, I did just address it. I think that ultimately it's something that takes no talent to do, and we can't beat anybody. This is something we've been preaching for a long time since we arrived. Was we cannot start to beat people until we stop beating ourselves, and that has remained pretty consistent since February or whatever it's been. So yeah, frustrating for sure.
And then
Again, the continued frustration with just not being able to get it done. I mean, like I said, Dave Canales, my head coach, is dealing with the same thing. Liam Coen, a first-year head coach, is dealing with the same thing. The discipline, getting guys to show up on every play, just getting them to win the mental reps. My team is currently dealing with penalties. This team is dealing with penalties. It might just be the symptom of a young coach, because young coaches are normally given situations where the culture is not set, where the standard is not set. So until Liam Coen can hold those guys accountable, this unfortunately is going to continue to happen, just like it happens in other places. But you can clearly see the fire from Liam wanting to get this fixed, because this is the stupid mistakes that have you win or lose those close games. So I completely understand where you're coming from, Liam, and I hope that your team, as well as my own, can figure that out.
I guess just last from me, Cam Little 70-yard field goal.
Yeah.
What was your immediate reaction? What was the thought process sending him back out there?
Yeah, so it was, I forget what the time was. It was 5 seconds. We tried to run all slants to get a down timeout situation to try to get it past the 50 if you could. They played 3 deep, soft zone. There wasn't an easy completion right now, so we checked it down and just banged it, and just Cam looked at me and was like, yeah, I want it. And so gave it a go, and that was pretty cool to see, huh? Yeah.
Hey, and if you haven't seen it yet, here is the clip. I mean, absolutely an insane field goal. 70 yards. I keep saying this, and any time that I can get somebody to listen to me, the fact that you convinced a head coach to allow you to try a 70-yard field goal, even though it's a preseason game, the fact that he said yes says that there's something maybe a little odd about Liam Coen, but something even crazier in a guy like Cam Little that actually hit it. Cam Little absolutely, for me, shoots up draft boards. Obviously, when you get to the kicker position in many fantasy situations, you're really hoping for guys like Aubrey and, hey, Justin Tucker as of recent. But now with the addition of rookie Tyler Loop, removing Justin Tucker, hey, why not gamble just a little on Cam Little?
Liam, Hunter's performance tonight, how would you rate that? I guess 18 snaps.
Yeah, I mean, I think he made a couple good catches on some option routes, and missed the one tackle defensively that I noticed. Like, that was the only things that I kind of noticed about his overall play. In terms of that, I'll have to watch the tape on how he operated defensively a little bit more, but I thought offensively he made the right decisions on those option routes, made a good catch, almost broke out of that one where kind of Trevor put it behind him on that 3rd down we talked about. But I'll have to go watch the tape a little bit more to know more.
Travis Hunter is in an interesting situation because he's going to be asked to play just one side of the ball. I'm going to be honest. I don't think he's going to get a whole lot of snaps at corner. I think it's going to be a lot of wide receiver because I think wide receiver is a lot easier to do. That may be a controversial opinion, but there's a lot more fantastic wide receivers out there than there are fantastic corners. Teams struggle to get 2 corners, let alone 2 good wide receivers. Some teams have 3 or 4 of those, like my Panthers. Shoot, this team has 2 or 3 really great wide receivers. BTJ and Travis Hunter are just 2 of them. But I think the come to the NFL moment is going to come in that he can no longer strong arm any of these NFL players for the most part. You're not going to see him stiff arming any guys down. He doesn't have the crazy athletic build to just bulldoze people or anything like that. He really was able to do stuff with finesse and speed in college. Of course, he's got great hands and all that other stuff as well, the intangibles. But Travis Hunter really excelled when he was able to exploit some of the other team's weaknesses. And at the NFL level, those aren't going to be there as often. So for me, Brian Thomas Jr. is wide receiver 1 on this team, and Travis Hunter is still a distant 2 on a good day. I want to know your thoughts, though. Make sure you put them in the comment because I'm breaking this down to get into this dude's head right now. So I want to be ready for my Carolina fandom when this dude comes to town.
Mechanically, though, how did that?
Oh, good.
Felt
Yeah.
great, no issues.
No.
over?
Yeah, he wanted to keep playing offense. After the first drive, he came up to me. He's like, "Can I go back in on O?" I'm like, "No, time to go on D." So that was no problem from a communication standpoint. It was just more, we got to go see the film for the actual how he executed.
Liam, you've talked a lot about Trevor and just running an operation.
Yeah.
How did you feel like he did it tonight?
Yeah, I think aside from the first play, I think he just was at the line with a can and kind of just took a little long, and it got us a little jumpy. But I thought, aside from that, you look at getting through some progressions. He got back to Strange on a progression for a first down. That was really nice to see. I thought we protected Trevor pretty well. I thought he was accurate with the ball. Safety made a good drive on BT on that one inbreaker, but the ball was kind of where it needed to be, maybe a little bit more firm for him. But I thought he operated at a good click.
And then, obviously guys are going to celebrate. It was a big play, but seeing, Travis, Josh Allen, everybody get excited for Cam, does that kind of show you the culture you want to build?
It is. I think overall you felt a good sideline vibe down there in terms of there was good energy. We had Wyatt Milam take a dude to the sidelines on a screen that drove him all the way to the stands. We shoved, got the run in from the whatever yard line where 9 guys or whatever pushing the pile. So, you definitely felt maybe a little bit of a physical difference between the two teams in some ways up front, on both sides. In terms of size, they're big, man. It's a big team. But I was proud of the way that the guys played physically. They played hard. They played tough. We just didn't play smart enough.
And that seems to be a constant thing. Just to even go back to the Trevor Lawrence issue, Trevor Lawrence was the generational #1 pick. People thought that he might be the next Andrew Luck, the next Peyton Manning, shoot, even the next Tom Brady. People had incredibly high hopes, and so far Trevor hasn't lived up to the hype. But obviously now he's got an offensive coach. He's got stability now, hopefully, at least. BTJ is a top flight wide receiver talent. Running back room is deep. Offensive line is getting better, and of course the defense is improving every year. It's whether or not this guy can put him in position to succeed, and whether or not Trevor can just hit his basic marks. Nobody's asking him to go out there and change the wheel, but he can't even seem to do the basics sometimes. So obviously there's a little bit of frustration there, and the mental errors are also happening from the quarterback. Trevor Lawrence has an opportunity to change the narrative, but if he doesn't, he just doesn't. And there's nothing Jaguars fans or anybody else is going to be able to do about it. That's tough, especially given the potential for this offense.
Any concern about the ease with which the Steelers went down against the first-team defense?
Yeah, I think there's a little concern with, I think we were playing a little loose in some of our coverage system, I was a little disappointed with the early 3rd and 2, I think it was, where we're playing a tight 3 deep in that situation, and we got off coverage to give an easy Omaha away. That was a little frustrating to see. So, those are some things when you're playing a new system, right? They've been playing a lot of man coverage over the last year here, and playing a lot more zone coverage. So, oftentimes you almost start to do too much the other way, where we're giving up a lot of grass and a little bit of room. So I imagine we're going to want to ask these guys to get a little stickier.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially on the defensive side of the ball, you're going to be able to put up points, but it's whether or not that defense can stop a nosebleed. You've got some guys out there for sure, but it's really like that's the big question. It seems like that's the big question with a lot of teams. So many teams, like even mine, are building offense ahead of defense, whereas we're seeing defenses in big-time games like the Super Bowl. The Eagles' defense was the reason why that game was won. Not the Eagles' offense, not the Kansas City offense. It was truly the defense. So as much as teams are going away from it, I still think there's so much of a process that needs to go into that. And yeah, switching from man to zone for the majority of the NFL has changed quite a bit. Not being able to just, go out there and drape all over a wide receiver. You really need to be smart about it and learn the game, the coverages, the system. That's different. That's a different NFL than it was just 10 years ago. So that's a change for not only rookies, but veterans as well.
Overall, you alluded to it a little bit, but offensive line play is one of the biggest changes overall in this team this offseason. What's your general thoughts on them and how they executed it? First, second, third team.
Yeah, I thought 0 sacks is always nice to have. I didn't feel like the quarterbacks were under duress all that much until kind of the end there where you felt it. I didn't think we got great movement in the run game, but I thought that we tried to lean on them a little bit and had some good runs. I'd like to be able to see us, run it better than we did, but I was pleased with their overall effort. I thought Sean had great communication with those guys, and they did their best, but we can definitely be better there.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Jaguars team, again, is in such an interesting place. Does Trevor Lawrence take that next step? Is Travis Hunter him? And of course, is Liam Coen the head coach of the future for the Jaguars? I'm not sure, but I'm just glad that my Carolina Panthers get to play these guys for the first game of the season. I really appreciate you making it this far. It helps out the channel, and I cannot thank you enough. Hopefully, one of these other videos are ones that you like as well, but if not, I can't wait to catch you in the next one. My name is Nick, and this has been Roll Coverage.